Alright, hey guys, this is just a quick tutorial just showing you a little bit of what 3dCOATT can do. This is what it looks like when you first open up the program. We're going to ignore all this because that's mainly just a sculpting tool. So to start off, just go to File, we're going to say Import Model. We're going to be working with the OBJs because, that's what we're used to. So I'm going to grab the model that I want. It's going to bring up this dialog box. One thing that you will notice is if you hover over anything in the actual interface, it's going to give you a little help box. Oh, right now it's only doing it for this, but it's really helpful, especially when you're just learning the program, and just keep it in mind. Where it says carcass resolution, we're just going to say bring it back down to 5,000. It was wanting to bump it up to about 21,000. This is more, again, a sculpting thing, but we're going to bring it back down. Smooth object, you can leave that on. That's going to help us with getting our textures to look nice and a higher resolution. If you bring that off, sometimes it gets a little pixelated, so leave that on there. There's three things for UVs: keep UVs, keep clusters, and auto mapping. Pretty much you can read about it when you're in the actual interface, but keep UVs, just leave them exactly how they are. Keep clusters, base rundown is just if you've got any overlaps, it's going to take your overlaps, separate them, and when you're done, you compress your texture, it's going to put them back. So it's the best way to keep it there. So pretty much everything else is just default. It's going to pack it into the space. One thing you do want to realize is it's going to base your model's location off of the location you exported the OBJ. So you want to make sure it's completely zeroed out in the dead center of the grid. Because one thing you will notice is when you go up here to symmetry, you've got x-axis, you got y-axis, and then you got z-axis. We'll pretty much primarily be using x-axis, but if it's not dead center, which this one isn't, it's close enough, but it's still not completely dead center. It'll be off a bit, and you're not going to be drawing on the same spot on each side. So you just want to make sure it's 0, 0, 0. Over here, first thing to do, since we're going to just be coloring, is we're going to say depth. We don't want any depth because, as you notice, it's just like a sculpting program. It's giving it that bump, and we don't want that. We're not really making normal maps. Turn depth off. Specular, turn specular off. So all of these should be X'd out except for your color, because that's all we're going to be working with. So first things, controls. Your Alt left click, just like in Maya, moves you around. Alt right click zooms you in. Alt middle mouse does that. So starting off, I've got my toolbar up here. You can bring that up into view. All these tools are also on your left hand side. They're pretty standard. The main ones you're going to be working with are brush and then grabbing color picker. You can also get your colors out here. You can choose different types of layouts. I personally prefer this one. It's a lot easier when shading. You can just mess with your lightnesses, and it's really nice. Anyway, so hopping right in, say we want to make a nice straight line. We don't want to do it by hand. I'm using a mouse right now, but usually I'd be with my tablet. We want to do a nice hard line down here, help accent that from the top. So what we would do is we go over here, choose black. Your radius is going to determine how big your brush is, so we don't want it this big. We're going to just go up here, we're going to say 3. You can also use the slider. That's better. So fall off is just like your hardness in Photoshop. We'll just leave it a little bit up there. Soft stroke, I think everyone's familiar with that. You can kind of see it's following me. It's allowing the curves to be a little more fluid, but it's taking away a little bit of your control. So I prefer not to use it. For the hard line though, it'd be pretty tough if you're just doing it freehand, which I did on my first textures before I had really learned the program, and it's all bad. So over here, I'll move this out of the way. You can choose your brush type. One of the things here is draw with lines. It's super, super helpful. One thing that you will notice when you start using it, if you click by mistake, it'll get stuck there, and then you'll be like, oh my god, what's happening? You press escape, it'll unclick that. So we're just going to come over here real quick, come around here, get a nice straight line, help accent that. I know I'm off, but whatever. So bam, we got our line. We're on the X symmetry, so it's going to draw it pretty much exactly on the other side. It'll be a little off because, like I said earlier, as you can tell here, the X symmetry is not exactly center. It's pretty close though, so it should be fine. One thing that you will want to know and pay attention to is your layers. If you go up to View, or what was it, Layers, Show Layer List, it'll bring up this little list. Right now I'm painting on layer 1. I can easily click the plus, make a bunch of layers, paint on all the different layers. When you're finally done, you'll be like, okay, blah blah blah. Alright, I'm done. What I want to do then is, it's going to take all these awesome layers that we've been working with, and when we go up to File and we say Import Extra Textures, Export All Layers Color, that's going to make a PSD with all these layers. So it'll be nice because then you can work with specific color layers you got, you can take out the lines, you can do a whole lot of stuff. So generally how I work is I start with the lines layer. I then go in and, well, actually I start with a base coat because working with just the white is pretty lame. Change my brush back to normal and say I wanted a purple base coat. Oh my god. Since I'm just working on one layer at the moment, it's going right over my lines, but now that I've made multiple layers, I can go ahead and make my base coat, and then I'd go in and I'd do